us on Times Now. We have some big news coming in at this point in time. We have learned that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to address the nation at 8:30 this evening. This is the latest update that we are getting for you right now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be sending a message to the country at 8:30 this evening. He's expected to address the nation at 8:30 today. Let's go across to my colleague Pragya, joining us live right now for more on this. Pragya, what do we know about Prime Minister's address to the nation at 8:30 this evening?
Well, Hina, looks like the Women Reservation is at the heart of the address, and in fact, Prime Minister has felt very strongly about Women Reservation and about their rights. It looks like that PM may be speaking about that, but we are yet to find out what the actual contents of it is going to be. But it looks like a very significant address that Prime Minister is going to give at 8:30. What the sources have told us that Prime Minister was also very disheartened about the bill, and in fact the women wanted that the women should have been given their right, their due justice that needed to be given to them. Looks like that this is going to be can be in fact one of the element of the address as well. But we are going to find out very shortly what Prime Minister is going to speak about. But we have been told that this is going to be a very significant address that Prime Minister is going to give, and therefore all eyes are on the PM's address tonight.
Yeah, my colleague Madhav also joining us live right now for more on this. Madhav, now this is huge because this comes just hours after government's effort to implement women reservation in the parliament by 2029 got defeated.
Well, yes, in fact, what will be very interesting to see after the positioning and official press conference of the BJP today, where we saw Smriti Irani as well as Ravi Shankar Prasad talk about the women's bill, and of course throwing out their own challenges and criticism as far as the opposition is concerned. Now, what would the Prime Minister be saying when he addresses the nation at 8:30 p.m. is going to be very, very important to watch out for. The question, of course, that many are asking is, whether he will address the entire issue of women's reservation and whether the entire plan...
Madhav, I'm just interrupting you there. Please stay on with us. Our managing editor, Zaka Jacob, also joining us on the broadcast. Zaka, this is huge.
Huge story. We don't know what the Prime Minister is going to speak about. The speculation is that he might speak about the Women's Reservation Bill. Obviously, the BJP wants to amp up the pressure on the opposition. Parties like the DMK, the TMC, these are the parties who are the incumbents in the upcoming state elections. So the speculation is that he will speak on the Women's Reservation Bill. Remember, he's campaigning this evening in Coimbatore about 5 o'clock in the evening. So he's going to come right after that and then speak to the nation at 8:30 p.m. He's going to try and turn the tables on the opposition and make them into this opposition those who are opposed to the women's bill, those who are opposed to women's rights and women's emancipation and empowerment. I think that's the attempt that the Prime Minister will try and make. Of course, you've heard from the opposition as well. You heard in the parliamentary debates over the last couple of days. You've heard today from Priyanka Gandhi as well. Their contention is it was the government that linked both delimitation and women's reservation. They're willing to pass the women's reservation without delimitation, without census, if the government were to bring an amended version of the existing women's reservation bill from 2023. But again, this is going to become deeply political over the next week, 10 days. Remember, Tamil Nadu votes on the 23rd and Bengal votes on the 29th. You're going to see hectic political activity in these next 10 days as the BJP tries to turn the tables on the opposition, both in these opposition-ruled states, Tamil Nadu as well as Bengal. The Prime Minister's address tonight to the nation will be the first step in that direction. We can also go to our political reporters. I think we should go to Madhav, to Mohit, to Pragya as well, to try and get a sense of what we can expect from the Prime Minister's speech tonight.
Right. Saga, stay on with us. Madhav continues to be with us. We're joined on the broadcast by Manikam Tagore of the Congress Party. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to this big news that we are breaking on Times Now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to address the nation at 8:30 this evening.
Yeah, we hope that Prime Minister promises to the country for implementing the Nari Adgandan Bill of 2023, for which the rules has also been notified. Hope Prime Minister in 543 seats of the Parliament, if he plan that how he is going to implement the 33 reservation, 33% of women's reservation, and giving the right to the sisters and mothers of this country. and in 2029 elections, how he will implement that. Let us see if he gives a plan or how he is going to implement the 2023 Women Reservation Act now.
Okay. You know, reportedly during the cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister had told NDA leaders that opposition made a big mistake, will be paying for it. There will be consequences for the opposition.
We need to understand that how cabinet discussions are getting leaked. I don't know how that is being leaked. This is a secret issue also. It is a very sad thing that Modi's cabinet colleagues are leaking this kind of things outside. It is unfortunate that the Prime Minister speaks politics in cabinet also. Prime Minister should give the roadmap how he is going to implement the act which is passed 3 years before. That's the only thing we have to do now. 543 seats are there, MPs are there. How he is going to resolve that 543? One third of women should be there.
All right.
How he is going to do it?
Okay, we leave it there. Mr. Manikam Tagore, Congress Party's Member of Parliament, speaking with us here on Times Now. Thank you, sir, for speaking with us. We are also joined on the broadcast by Praveen Khandelwal of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Good afternoon, Mr. Khandelwal. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. We have learned that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to address the nation at 8:30. The timing is important. What can really be expected tonight?
Well, the manner in which the Congress and other political parties have betrayed the women empowerment issue yesterday in the parliament, and Rahul Gandhi strongly saying that they will they would oppose the bill, has sent a signal among the country to get the things clarified as to how, what were the circumstances, why the bill was introduced by Honorable Prime Minister in the Parliament, and what was the role of opposition parties. I think if Prime Minister addresses the nation, then definitely he will take into account all such issues which are related to this women empowerment bill.
But, you know, the opposition has called it actually a victory of democracy, a victory for the constitution, the country, and also the unity of the opposition. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Mr. Khandelwal, hear my question. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra addressed a press conference saying that, you know, Congress party has no problem if this particular bill is implemented, if it becomes a reality with the existing strength of the Lok Sabha. They'll support it, they are saying.
Well, there are 2 points. Point number one, that whatever they are calling is victory is nothing but a clear shame on the Congress party for letting down the women of the country. That is point number one. Point number two, what Priyanka Gandhi is saying, when the Congress party made an offer on the floor of the House that at the current strength of the Parliament,
right,
if a government comes with 50% clause,
right,
they would support the bill. And at that very point, Honorable Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, it is available on record.
Right.
Honorable Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, made an offer that yes, the government is ready,
right,
and he requested the Speaker to adjourn the House for an hour,
okay,
so that official amendment can be brought.
Right.
And on that point of time, our Congress friends and other opposition parties,
right,
they went back.
All
so
right.
What kind of talks Priyanka Gandhi
We
is
saw
saying?
all of that happening in the Parliament yesterday. So essentially you're saying that it's the opposition that has betrayed the women of this country. Mr. Praveen Khandelwal, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. My colleagues are also live with us. But before I go back to my colleagues, let's get in a quick word from another member of Parliament from the Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Raj. Thank you very much, sir, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए. क्या उम्मीद की जा सकती है आज जब प्रधानमंत्री देश के नाम संदेश देंगे 8:30 बजे?
देखिए, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी देश के नाम संदेश देंगे और आप जानते हैं, पूरे देश की जनता जानती है कि जब भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी देश के नाम संबोधन करते हैं, देश के नाम संदेश देते हैं, तो वो महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पे ही अपनी बात रखते हैं और देश के हित में ही बात रखते हैं. 140 करोड़ देशवासियों के हित में और भारत के हित में क्या होगा, यही बात रखते हैं। अब ये तो क्योंकि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी बोलेंगे तो ये तो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के वक्तव्य के बाद ही जानकारी मिलेगी सबको भी कि भाई उनका वक्तव्य किस विषय पे आता है। जी
राजकुमार,
लेकिन मैं तो यही कहूंगा कि 17 अप्रैल का जो दिन कल का निकल के गया है ये विपक्ष का और जो कांग्रेस पार्टी का विशेषकर और उनके राइज का जिस प्रकार का उन्होंने प्रदर्शन किया और महिलाओं के हक और अधिकार को एक तरह से छीना, अगर वो थोड़ी सहमति देते आगे बढ़ते तो आज हमारी महिलाओं को, देश की नारियों को, नारी शक्ति को उनका अधिकार मिलता। लेकिन वो केवल दिखावा करते रहे, नारे लगाते रहे, लेकिन कभी उन्होंने महिलाओं के प्रति कभी वो गंभीर नहीं हुए। तो बहुत ही मजाकिया लहजे में उनके विपक्ष के नेता राहुल गांधी ने एड्रेस किया, गंभीरता नहीं दिखाई। तो इस प्रकार मैं यही कह सकता हूँ कि कल एक बहुत ही काला दिन था और महिलाओं के मान और सम्मान के साथ भी खिलवाड़ की गई और उनके अधिकार को भी दूर किया गया।
All right. Rajkumar Chahar ji, हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Mohit and Niyamika continue to be with us. Before I go across to them, Zaka, you heard what both sides really have to say. And over the last few days, we had seen how the Prime Minister specifically was speaking about this issue. He was saying that how it is going to be transformational in the entire country. He said that how we need to move to women-led development if we truly want to achieve, our ambition of becoming Viksit by 2047. So this issue, one could sense, was really close to his heart. What is it that you're expecting him to say at 8:30 tonight?
Definitely, he's going to, the Women's Reservation Bill is going to be front and center of his address, no doubt about it. The fact that the BJP had sort of shepherded this bill, and remember, the problem that arose was the linking of the Women's Reservation to the delimitation. Now, delimitation is not an easy issue to resolve, with or without the Women's Reservation Bill, because, once the 2026 census is done, by 2027, automatically the freeze of 543 seats in the Lok Sabha and the freeze on the delimitation, which was agreed upon in 2001, automatically expires, which means the southern states will continue to lose out if you were to go by as a proportion of population. So again, this whole debate around delimitation will come back again in 2027. So what the government was trying to do through the linking of the Nari Shakti bill with the delimitation was to propose this formula of 50% increase of all state assemblies as well as the state contribution to the Lok Sabha, so that the interests of the southern states are taken care of. The southern states as well as the rest of the wider opposition did not buy that argument, and they said that this was, the government trying to be too clever by half, this was a sleight of hand, and therefore they defeated the bill. Now, I expect the Prime Minister to put this front and center of his speech tonight, his address to the nation, where he says that, look, the entire opposition from Congress to DMK to TMC have all been anti-women. They all voted against this Women's Reservation Bill. And if it does not come into fruition, if it doesn't come into actuality by the 2029 elections, then it's the opposition that is to be blamed. So I think it's going to be a political address. It's going to be addressed to the women of this nation, and he's squarely going to appeal to the voters of this country, to the citizens of this country, especially the women citizens of this country, which is half the population, that look, if you want true empowerment, true women's empowerment, it's the BJP that proposed this formula. The opposition rejected it, and therefore when they come back to the people, whether it's through the state assembly elections in Tamil Nadu, Bengal, next year in UP, and then eventually towards the 2029 elections, the people need to ask questions of those who scuttle this bill, who scuttle this constitutional amendment.
Right. Mohit, now, the opposition's argument has been that the government knew it does not have the numbers, because any kind of constitutional amendment requires 2/3 majority. So government knew very well that it's not going to be able to get this thing cleared without the support of the opposition. This was a ploy basically by the Bharatiya Janata Party in the middle of the election season, just to tell the voters that it's the opposition that does not want to implement this 33% reservation for women, and it's BJP that's pushing for it. So it's a strategy of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and BJP knew exactly what has happened.
Well, in fact, you see, Prime Minister on umpteen occasions, Hina has said that this is not a political issue. This is a very personal issue, because they want to give rights to the women that have been pending for almost 4 decades. And we know for a fact that when Prime Minister speaks today, he will be speaking to the women voters specifically of this country, as Zaka was saying, that there will be an appeal to the people on the ground, specifically women, that these are the opposition parties, specifically the Congress party, that have not supported the cause of the women. And perhaps that is why we see that how strategically BJP has planned the protest at various places. Today at 4 p.m. the protest will take place at Rahul Gandhi's residence. Various press conferences are to be held, and not just the BJP, Hina, but the NDA partners will also be holding various protests and press conferences on this particular issue, because BJP believes that this issue is something that they can take to people on the ground and say that we were ready to give women their rights, we were ready to create history, and opposition leaders had the chance to be part of the history, to give women what they wanted, and this was not a political issue for us. But look at the opposition.
Mohit, apologies, I'm interrupting you there. I'll come back to you again in just a bit. We are in fact joined on the broadcast by A. Saravanan of the DMK. Good afternoon. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to this news that we are breaking here on Times Now: Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to address the nation this evening at 8:30.
Yeah, probably this is a concession speech, that he is acceding defeat, that the states have successfully won this round. Delimitation, which is against the detrimental, which will be detrimental to the southern states, especially the state of Tamil Nadu, the states which have curtailed their population. Probably Mr. Modi wants to apologize that he should not have brought the bill because it was soundly rejected by the people of this country. They don't want this bill, which will affect us. And the spin that the Women's Reservation bill, these parties are against it. I don't know what they think of the people of this country. The people of this country are politically aware. The Women's Reservation bill was passed in 2023, and the BJP government is unwilling to implement that. That is where the problem is. And
it's interesting, Mr. Saravanan. Okay,
yes.
It's interesting, Mr. Saravanan, you say people of this country are politically aware. Then people of this country also know how the bill that was passed in 2023 also had a link with delimitation exercise and also the census exercise. So people are seeing what's really happening. The narrative that we are seeing building is that it's the opposition that did not allow India to get a historic moment yesterday. The moment that the women, the 50% of the population in this country were waiting for. Don't you think, on the ground, the women are going to ask you a question as to why did you not support the government? Because eventually you see the bottom line here.
Yeah, see, that's what I told you. The Women's Reservation bill is passed. It is the law of the land. In 2023, that's what I tell you. The women, the people of this country, the women of this country will see through the sleight of hand of the BJP. There is no necessity to link this to census or delimitation. 543 seats are there. Give us 33%. Plain and simple. Why the BJP is unwilling to do that? That is the question. 165 seats, 172 seats. It will roughly come around 170 to 180 seats. Reserve that for women. We are happy. The DMK wants it. DMK wants 170 to 180 seats to be reserved for women in this 543. Is the BJP willing to take that? That is the question. Will the Prime Minister answer this question?
All right. We leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Saravanan. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Also joining us on the broadcast is Kirti Azad of the Trinamool Congress. Good afternoon. Thank you for speaking with us. What are you expecting the Prime Minister to say at 8:30 this evening?
Maybe some other jumla. He'll come up and say that the opposition has not let the women bill pass, which has already been passed, constitutional amendment in 2023. So there could be another jumla for all you know. We'll listen to it. Maybe आज से सब सड़कें बंद हो जाएंगी, कर्फ्यू लग जाएगा, काला धन वापस आएगा।
क्यों बंद करवा रहे हैं आप? कर्फ्यू क्यों लगवा रहे हैं? अभी तो हालात थोड़े से सुधरते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं वेस्ट एशिया में। आप इस तरह की बातें क्यों कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम लोगों ने जब भी सुना तो जुमले ही सुने, उसके अलावा तो और सुना नहीं ना। कोई चीज ग्राउंड तो दिखाई दिया नहीं। वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल तो पास हो चुका है, सर्वसम्मति से पास हुआ। Everybody were together and passed the bill in 2023. So give 1/3 the seats, 181. Give it to them. Give it to the ladies. Isn't it the best thing to do?
All right. Mr. Kirti Azad, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Let me go back to my colleagues who continue to be with us at this point in time. Nyamika, a quick reaction from you. Any word officially from the Congress party, Congress leaders that you've spoken to on this big development? We just heard leaders from DMK and TMC.
Well, we have spoken to several of the leaders within the Congress party, and they are of the viewpoint that they don't care if the Prime Minister is going to say anything against the opposition parties. They are quite clear that even though the BJP leaders have been asked to reach to the grassroots level to speak to the people of this country, that it is the opposition parties who are actually oppose this implementation of the women's reservation bill. Congress party is calling it all drama, and they are basically stating that if the BJP leaders will go to the ground, then the question will be asked to them, as they are basically stating that it was the entire opposition which stood united in 2023, and they had passed this particular women reservation bill, but it is upon the government of India, as they had failed to implement it till 2024, and now this all has been done by the government of India only for a conspiracy which was being hatched, because they were basically misusing this women's reservation bill just to impose the delimitation upon the country, as it was being stated by Ms. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. As well.
Stay on with us. Okay, stay on with us. I'll come back to you again. We have Hebe Eden of the Congress party also joining us on the broadcast. Good afternoon. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to this news, Prime Minister Modi to address the nation at 8:30 this evening. Anything specific that you're expecting him to say?
No, he basically wants to address the nation and to send a message. And they are making it political. We have always stood for the Women's Reservation Bill in 2023. We unanimously, except 2 members who are independent members, except them, we passed the Women's Reservation Bill. Who is against the Women's Reservation Bill? If Congress is against the Women's Reservation Bill, or the opposition is against the Reservation Bill, we wouldn't have passed it. They did a political manifesto in 2023 to win the 2024 elections. We supported the bill, and they are very clear that they had a wafer-thin majority in the last parliament elections. People cleverly voted, and we have a strong opposition which actually defeated the political agenda of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And we are very clear on this matter.
Mr. Eden, this is Zaka Jacob here. The Prime Minister is expected to make this political pitch to the voters of this country, particularly the women of this country, that the reason why women's reservation has not been implemented is because of the opposition and opposition MPs like yourself. What's your counter to that?
Women are not fools. Listen, Priyanka Gandhi in her speech very clearly mentioned, they're very clever. They're clever than men. And they will clearly understand the agenda of the Bharatiya Janata Party. A bill which was passed in 2023 and clubbing it with the delimitation and bringing it to the parliament was clearly the message. And the message was clear. That is very clearly told by all the spokespersons and our leaders in the parliament, outside the parliament. The message is clear. You know that. Why don't you do an investigative journalism on what happened? And why don't you put the facts?
Well, there's nothing investigative about it. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Eden. We wish you very good luck. Anyway, the Kerala elections are over. Tamil Nadu and Bengal are up in the next few days. We'll see how this politically plays out. Pragya is also joining us. Pragya, what are we expecting? We had series of PCs by senior BJP leaders. The Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Mr. Rijiju, spoke. Ravi Shankar Prasad, Smriti Irani. Now, at 8:30 p.m., the Prime Minister himself will speak. What can we expect?
Well, Zaka, it is but natural for the Prime Minister to speak to the nation on this particular important bill. And in fact, if you remember, Prime Minister has spoken to all the top leaders of the NDAs. And in fact, every chief minister you must have seen, they have come out on social media. They have given statement about this particular bill. They have condemned the stance that has been taken by opposition parties by not supporting this bill. So Prime Minister, what he said in the cabinet today, that this is an injustice that has been meted to half the population of the country. They should have been participated, they should have been included in this decision-making process as far as policies of this country is concerned. Prime Minister is going to delve on that. We are given to understand that this is a strong pitch that Prime Minister is going to make, and also a case against opposition parties who, in fact, despite all the negotiations by the government, despite Mr. Amit Shah saying that we go back and we can bring this in writing if you want. This is your, main objection. We can do it in an hour's time. They still didn't answer. They didn't still support the bill. So this is, the kind of negotiations that government had to ensure that the Mahila Shakti gets their participation in building the nation. That was defeated by these opposition parties. He can also give the timeline, timeline since when the Congress has been defeating this particular bill, Women Reservation, and who all stood against it. So it all can become a part of a potent message that the Prime Minister is scheduled to give at 8:30. All eyes will be on it, Zaka, but this is certainly the women empowerment pitch that Prime Minister is going to make, and BJP is going to own this Women Reservation bill up. And in fact, they are also going to tag opposition parties as anti-women, and this is a larger grassroots movement that BJP and NDA allies are going to begin, especially in the areas, in the constituencies where these opposition MPs are in power right now. And in fact, this is a message that they are going to give across to the country, and Prime Minister specifically said in the cabinet that this should not die down in a day or two. Please make sure that there is conclusive outcome of this particular movement, that everyone should know that we stood by the government and opposition stood against the government.
All right, I just want to add, obviously the most proximate tests of this narrative war between the BJP-led NDA on the one hand and the Congress-led opposition on the other, the most proximate will be felt both in Tamil Nadu as well as in Bengal. In Tamil Nadu, Mr. Stalin has made this into an issue of federalism versus the centre, etc. Mamata Banerjee, while she has been supportive of the opposition's moves on this whole issue of, delinking, delimitation as well as women's reservation, she's been much more muted compared to, let's say, a Stalin or some of the other chief ministers of the southern states. And Bengal, at least the bulk of the big urban Bengal seats, whether it's in Calcutta or in, the Parganas, North 24 and South 24 Parganas, they vote in the second phase, which is on the 29th. So it gives the BJP enough time to amp up this whole narrative war that, look, the opposition, including the TMC, was anti-women. And then you contrast that with the TMC's own narrative that she's one of two women chief ministers in the country. So this is going to be deeply political over the next 10 days or so. And I guess the first litmus test or the first dipstick survey of, which narrative prevails, you will know on the 4th of May from the results both in Tamil Nadu as well as in Bengal. Hina.
Right. And also, Zaka, do you think it could also significantly impact Trinamool Congress in this election? Because, TMC is one political party that has given a lot of opportunities to women. If you look at the situation on the ground also, a lot of women play a very important role in a lot of operations that the party, is involved in, or different functions of the party, if you look at from that perspective. And the Prime Minister, leave politics aside, as a leader of this country, has been making a very emotive pitch that it is about women empowerment. This is the time that women were waiting for. So do you think, this could impact adversely TMC in the upcoming polls?
Well, certainly in the narrative war, they will have to match up what the Prime Minister is saying, what the Home Minister said yesterday in Parliament, that, look, at the end of the day, they were seen on the wrong side of this bill. In effect, they were seen on the wrong side of history, on the wrong side of women's empowerment. But you square off that with the fact that Mamata Banerjee is one of two women chief ministers in the country right now, perhaps the most powerful woman chief minister in the country right now. Also, the Trinamool, and let the record speak for itself, if you go by hard data, just cold numbers, the Trinamool has given tickets to more women than any of the national parties have. The Trinamool in the last assembly election, in the last Lok Sabha election, gave almost 40% of its tickets to women. Whereas the national parties, BJP at 15%, Congress at worse than that, about 10%, can't really, challenge that record of giving more tickets to women. So you have to square off these two. But right now, as I said, it's a war of narratives. And the BJP, the Prime Minister, they will all be leading this narrative charge against the opposition, that it was the opposition, the parties like TMC, DMK, Congress, etc., which were at the forefront of anti-women's reservation, and they should be punished for it electorally. We'll see whether the voters of Bengal, the voters of Tamil Nadu buy into that narrative, or they buy into the respective regional parties in both of those states.
Right. Let me also go across to my colleague Pragya. Now, Pragya, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be in Coimbatore today. another very important day and a state for the Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP has been trying to make inroads in the southern part of the country for a very long time. But after what happened yesterday, the way the DMK specifically opposed this women reservation issue in the parliament and outside the parliament, do you think it will become more like the interest of southern states versus the interest of women in the country? Do you think that will be the narrative now that BJP is going to be emphasizing?
Absolutely, Hina, and Prime Minister will be going to speaking about this. How now this step and opposing, this particular bill, DMK has, caused itself harm because there are 10 seats that will go away from Tamil Nadu in the parliamentary elections. As far as census is concerned, the new census will be based on the population. So obviously, Prime Minister is going to speak about this, the divide that the opposition has been trying to create, for many years now, South versus North. And in fact, he will also harp on the fact that it is government that has given a proportion rise, 50% of the rise to each and every state to ensure that there is a balance. There is a balance of representation of each state in parliament as well as in assembly elections. No partisan attitude towards any state, even if it has one member in the parliament. So this is the narrative. You are absolutely right. Prime Minister is also going to speak about this, and having said about it, and also the impact of women reservation, and also the Prime Minister's speech about it, it may not look like that there is an immediate effect, Hina, but this is certainly for 2029 Lok Sabha elections as well. This is going to be the core issue of the BJP, and it is also for the history. It is recorded in the history that these political parties stood against women reservation. And this is going to be used by Prime Minister to the hilt, in upcoming any of the assembly or the Lok Sabha elections.
All right. Thank you very much, all of you, for the moment, for joining us with your inputs on this story. This is going to be our big focus ahead as well. For now, slipping into a very, very short break. We'll be back with lots more on the story. Don't go anywhere.